r/NoSleep. Posted by u/sad, Rain 7064. Never go to the motel next to Route 51. It had now been 9 hours since I last stopped. Knowing I'm not going to make it to my aunt's birthday party, I decided to look for a place to sleep and get some rest. I continued to drive for about 3 more miles when I conveniently found a motel perfect. I thought to myself. However, something seemed off about the place. I mean, the motel didn't even have a brand name or anything, it just said motel in bright red lights. I drove carefully to the parking lot, where I noticed that there were no other cars parked. I found this very strange. I mean, it is 2 a.m. I thought to myself. This had to be the reason no one was here other than me. After parking my car, I made my way to the front door where I could see the silhouette of what seemed to be an old lady. When I opened the door, the sound of 80s music hit my ears, and a small buzzard beeped when I opened the door. After walking up to the old lady, "Hello, can I please buy one room for the night?" Silence. "Hello?" I asked with a concerned tone. "Yes," the old lady answered with a calm and precise voice. "That would be $80. She said. "Alrighty," I responded, pulling out a $100 dollar bill and handing it to her. She then proceeded to give me my $20 back, which I was planning to use on gas. The weird thing about this whole interaction was that she never looked up or at me, she just stared down, staring at something below. I made my way to room 121, which was the room number the old lady gave me. When I entered the old crusty room, the scent of human odor was unbearable. I almost barfed a little, I have to admit. I went and started checking out every room like I usually do every time I go to a hotel. The only difference is that this is a shitty motel. When I got to the bathroom, it was a disaster. The toilet was clogged and the sink didn't even have working water. I couldn't believe I had paid $80 for this. I then heard some rumble coming from the closet. Quite spooked and curious at the same time, I slowly walked to the closet. The banging now became louder, more persistent, deeper, almost as if whatever was in there was desperate to get out. Now in front of the closet, I took a deep breath, inhaled, then exhaled. I grabbed the knob, then pulled it towards me. There were about 50 pieces of clothing hanging from a sturdy piece of wood at the top of the closet. I extended my hand to put the pieces of cloth to the side. Then I saw it. There were 2 huge gray, bloody, feet at the bottom of the clothing. Frightened, I took a couple of steps back rapidly, landing on the bed. Then with a severe force the closet closed autonomously. The banging stopped. Now spooked, I heard one of those squishy toys that make noise, the ones made for dogs. The toy came bouncing from beneath the bed. It had the words "Pick Me Up" written in red Sharpie. A little hesitant at first, I convinced myself to pick up the yellow ball. Now staring at the floor with the ball in my hand. I heard giggling coming from my left. Something was underneath the bed. I tilted my head. When I finally tilted my head completely, I was frightened to see a large figure, with grayish skin and sharp dirty fangs covered in blood. I quickly retreated and got up. I was now frozen as I was staring at the creature coming out from beneath the bed. I could hear, see, and feel as the creature conjured its body, twisting its bones and its head a full 360 degrees. It started laughing and calling out my name. After finally snapping back, I grabbed the room keys that were laid out on the bed and made a dash for the door. I heard and felt the creature try to chase me, but I was so pumped with adrenaline that I ran faster than I have ever in my life. After closing the door just as the creature was less than a foot behind me, I locked the door. The creature was still pounding hard on the wooden door. I went down the flight of stairs that led to the front door. The old lady was now staring directly at me with a large grin, tears coming down her face. "I hope you enjoyed your stay," she said with an enthusiastic voice. I didn't even respond. I ran out the front door, got in my car and got the hell out of there. Never go to that motel. The next story of this video. Posted by u/LaSalle8. Another night on Honey Hollow Road. The following takes place shortly after I hired some cryptid hunters. So I would like to start with some great news. I just got engaged to Stacy. I know things are moving fast, but she just has me under some sort of spell and I can't imagine life without her in it anymore. Okay, onto the creepy stuff you guys came for. So we decided to do some more exploring on Honey Hollow Road. Carter, Ashley, Stacy and I met up after work and went to a really old cemetery on the road. We found that the driveway connecting it to the road had been erased from existence, trees had fallen on top of it, vegetation had been growing on it for some time, and there was no signs of anyone or thing using it in over a decade. The only way we could even notice it was a crumbling stack of stones around the cemetery. The gravestones were all leaning, if not already had fallen over, and were completely illegible from being worn down by the weather. Most had moss and were faded. Carter gave us a rundown of the facts he could find out about the site and those occupying it. Nothing spooky really happened though. It was after dark when we finally got bored and decided to head to the local bar. On our way, Ashley got panicked and demanded we pulled over about 100 feet from a house. I don't know what it is, but she really seems to have some sort of sixth sense, and at this point we all realized it and didn't question her in the slightest. She told me to turn off the vehicle and had us follow her out of the vehicle. I was definitely creeped out but really had no idea why. Ashley guided us towards the home. About 50 feet away she told us to stop and told us no sudden movements, they aren't here for us. Stacy panicked. What? Who? Ashley hushed her and pointed to the edge of the woods of the property. At first we saw nothing, but after a while we noticed glowing green eyes, easily over a dozen pairs. I turned back to Carter, but before I could say anything I noticed that there were glowing green eyes on our side. They were closer and I could make out that they were an odd rectangular shape. I looked all around us and found that they had completely surrounded us. I pointed them out to Carter and suddenly found Stacy holding me tightly. She was quivering with fear. We watched them move around us and descend upon the house. "Call an ambulance," Ashley sharply ordered while trying to keep her voice down. There's never any service in this town, but we all gave our phones a try. I wondered what we would tell them if we could get service. We watched them inch closer to the house and noticed they were all different sizes. The closest to the house began to climb it. Once they all reached the house, they all seemed to disappear at once. "Oh shit," declared Ashley. A moment passed in silence and then they all suddenly reappeared and began charging away from the house in all directions. "Get down," Ashley ordered. We complied and huddled together on the ground while the things with glowing green eyes stampeded off into the darkness. When they were gone, Ashley demanded we find service and call 911 as she ran to the house. I followed her. She began slamming at the door trying to get someone inside's attention. When I reached the house I found I had a signal and called 911. Ashley took the phone from me and begged for a welfare check on the house. Stacy approached and tried to calm her. She said something to her that sent chills up my spine. There was nothing we could do. "They have already taken his soul." We pulled the car up to the driveway and waited for the state troopers for the welfare check. Ashley came up with a story about hearing someone screaming for help inside. They went in and found an old man dead in his bed on the second story. They took our statements, called to have the body taken away, and had us leave the premises. We would later find out he had died of natural causes. As we slowly drove down the road intending to go home, noticed a big glowing white light in the sky and pulled over. "Ash?" I asked. "I have absolutely no idea," she replied as we all watched this glowing round white light slowly move towards us until it was right above us. Suddenly a blindingly bright light shot down from it. It was as if we were standing in a white pillar of light. It only lasted a few seconds and it seemed to have paralyzed my body. I thought for sure we were about to be abducted and I silently prayed they didn't probe us, but nothing happened. When it was over, the white thing in the sky quickly accelerated up and away as if it was flying to outer space. We checked the time and we hadn't lost any. I found myself somehow feeling almost rejected. "Well, that was fucking different," Carter said. "No one will believe any of this," I replied. I started up the car and began to drive us home. "I think we should keep this to ourselves," Stacy declared. We all agreed. After all, it's hard enough to get people to believe that you experienced one supernatural event. No one would ever believe we had witnessed a supernatural event and a possible extraterrestrial encounter on the same night. Not even in this backwoods town, not even on Honey Hollow Road.